cooking today, Wes?
Well, I started off with a skillet, and pretty much my skillet is I'll take the potatoes, I'll chop them up, put some grease in the pan, and fry them. Then I'll put some onions and bell peppers on top of them, get them good and sautéed, and then I just get like a standard like Hillshire Farm smoked sausage, cut it up in little slices, and grill it up pretty good. I just use like a simple. I mean, anything would work, but this tends to work pretty good for me. It's pretty high in salt and stuff and sodium, but you know, it's pretty good. Tends to stink up the whole campsite. Everybody's wakes up with their nose up in the air, and man, it just turns out really nice and good. And the positive to it is the only thing you really have to refrigerate is the sausage. So pretty much when we started out on Friday, what day is this? Wednesday, Tuesday? So I mean, I've had this sausage in the cooler, and it's sealed up in a nice wrapper, so I'm not worried about water getting in it. It stays cool. My onions, they're just in my basket. Bell peppers, if I got room in the cooler, I put them in there. If not, it's not that big a deal, and I tend to keep them sliced up so they don't take up very much room anyway. And that's kind of the big deal when you're camping and cooking, is try to keep as much of it where you don't have to refrigerate it, because we're limited on our ice, we're limited on, you know, how many times we take stops and get more groceries. So this is one of my favorite dishes I make due to that, because it works really well. You know, I just, potatoes and onions are awesome. If you can cook anything, potatoes and onions, and just keep it going, there's a lot of different dishes you can use for that. But no, it usually turns out really good, and keeps people coming to your campsite all morning long, just kind of seeing what you got going. So far we've had a pretty eventful trip. We left out Friday, and we had some issues with my Jeep overheating. We ran for 2 days on that. The first night we ended up in the middle of a storm at Fort Supply, and it was pretty extensive, 70-mile-an-hour winds. Got through that. The next day we still had problems with the Jeep overheating. We came on up and went through Kaplan Volcano, went up it. Kids got to see some really neat stuff, really educational. We came out of there and kind of turned and went the back way up to Sugar Right Canyon Camp. Very awesome drive. It was a great trip. Once we pulled into Sugar Right and got our showers and got the Jeep on top of the hill, it overheated. So we had to kind of kick back and punt, and tore into the Jeep the next morning, welded up the fan clutch, and from then on the Jeep's been doing pretty good. Had bears in our camp that night. They tore into my trasheroo. Didn't tear it up. They got into James's water. Scattered it everywhere, ruined probably 80% of his water supply. But you know, it all makes stories. It was a great trip. The kids are having a great time. We left out of there and headed for Telluride to get our supplies for the next few days. And from there, it was more of a spectator trip for a little while. We went and we ran a few stuff that you know, cars can more than likely just drive up and down. But we went ahead and did Phantom Canyon. Man, it was a great view. Came out in that town,
Cripple Creek, and we turned and went down Shelf Road, which is spectacular. Really recommend it for everybody. It really didn't test our vehicles that bad. It was some hills and some breaks and stuff, but as far as off-roading, it wasn't nothing spectacular. But the view was amazing. From there, we ended up at Sand Gulch for the night and camped there. Awesome campground. You're right there in kind of a gulch. I mean, that you can tell there's a dry creek bed there. I'm sure a lot of water runs through there when it rains. But we had awesome mountains on both sides of us. Camp was spectacular. I mean, we had an awesome time. It was kind of uneventful. We didn't have any bears, didn't have no storms. It was kind of a nice change of pace. So from there, the next morning we got up and basically as it was one of our days for spectating, and we drove back Shelf Road again, back up it, and we went to the Molly Kathleen mine and took the tour. And it was real interesting. Gold mining is a huge part of this area, and getting to go inside their lift and go 1,000 foot underground and see all the tunnels and how they've done it over the years was amazing. Had a good tour guide. He kept us all entertained. And we got done with that, we headed up towards Colorado Springs. We missed something in there because we also did Skyline Drive the day before.
Yeah, we left there and went to Colorado Springs.
Yeah, so
We were going to take a dirt road over to that, but it was closed, so we had to
Yeah.
take paved road.
yeah, it was closed. We didn't want to take the chance on trying and just see. It said local traffic only, so we wasn't sure if it came through or not. We this trip is kind of so full that we can't take a chance on having to backtrack. So we just went ahead and took the highway on up, and we came on up and ran Pikes Peak, which isn't really a four-wheel drive trail, but this trip it's about seeing as much as we can. We don't have a lot of time. We want to get the kids to see everything and understand what they're looking at. And but we made it up Pikes Peak. Had a few people get a little bit of elevation sickness, but it was spectacular, man. I strongly recommend it. From there we went back down to camp. We restocked on groceries. Made it back to camp in the rain, and after camp the next morning we took out and went to Garden of the Gods. Once again, that's more just a spectator thing. It's paved roads going around. Did a little bit of hiking. It was amazing to see. Then we headed out of there, and we had about an hour and a half worth of highway driving, and before we hit 10 Cup Pass.
4 mile area.
A 4 mile.
Yeah, we did that first.
Yeah, we did 4 mile, and man, it was awesome. That took us quite a few hours, and we came out in Buena Vista. And man, there's a lot of rock climbing out there, bicycle stuff. It was mild trails, but we finally did get to put it in full drive and kind of test some stuff out, see how the trailers worked. Got to see some spectacular views. Popped out in Buena Vista, looked like an awesome little town. They had lots of antique stores, lots of stuff going on. We didn't really have time to stop because we wanted to hit 10 Cup and make it to here before dark. 10 Cup was awesome. It took a lot of off-road skills, pulling the hill. Really rough road, just constantly bouncing. We couldn't ever, really catch any gears. It was low range, and we went through St. Elmo, which was kind of just a little old mining town, kind of neat to see. But that's when the rain kicked in, and hailstorm hit us, which adds to the adventure. But we made it up 10 Cup, got to the Continental Divide, and that's a San Isabel National Forest and mountain range. That's a spectacular view. But once you hit the Continental Divide on top of 10 Cup summit, you bump into Gunnison National Forest, and that's where we're at right now. Remember the name of this lake, Stephen?
That's Mirror Lake.
This is Mirror Lake.
Yeah.
Of course, it's tucked back in the mountains, right on top of the hill. We have seen some amazing wildlife on this trail right here. Seen 6 really nice bucks up on the hill, and ran into a moose, which was awesome. I've never seen a moose. My kids got to see a moose the same time I did. The size of it was just amazing, and of course we got that on video. So we made it here just before dark. We had a little time to throw a couple lures in the lake, and we cooked dinner and set up camp and kind of sat around and had a good laugh and cooked some s'mores. So today we got up, cooked breakfast. We're going to be headed back out at 10 Cup, and we're going to hit some trails again. So this part of the trip's going to be more of our off-road, overland style trip. So should be very enjoyable.
Stay with us. This is the little old town of Tin Cup. Pretty neat place to stop and check out.
People live there. You can't just walk in them. Everything's privately owned. We can't go look in them. That's pretty cool though. Look on the left here. Awesome. Yeah, I think so. I don't know, where are we headed? Town Hall.
Shut that off for
Come loose.
What? It's coming through? Yeah, I guess. I don't get those.
The nut on Wes's trailer came loose and fell off, and somehow his trailer made it on up Cumberland Pass a ways before it come unhitched from the truck. We spent a little while looking for the missing parts, with only finding one piece of it. Fortunately for us, some ATV guys stopped and asked what was going on. They stopped and took the time, went on down the trail, and found all the four pieces that we was still missing, brought back up to us, and we put it back together. Put a little Loctite on it this time. Didn't have any more issues the rest of the week with it.
Let's just go up against the bumper.
No, the other way.
Work that way, won't it?
Here you go, now do it.
I have a feeling we got it.
I think that's tight. We're on Cumberland Pass, leaving Tin Cup, heading south.